Thank you, Jason, and welcome everybody to this webinar. My name is Peter Bellia. I'm the Senior Director for Customer Success Services at Oracle. What I'm going to cover today is digital adoption platforms, and the first thing we probably need to understand is why do we need a digital adoption platform? What problem are we solving with those platforms? And Jason has been mentioning, the three key elements of any, I would say, digital transformation, which is technology, processes, and people. Digital adoption platforms are targeting the third element, which is the people specifically. It is not meant to address issues with the technology or process design. And there's a lot of confusion around that. So what I will do is I will use an example from my personal experience that probably will clarify, what we mean by addressing people issues in digital transformation. 20 or more than 20 years ago, I was a financial analyst. And at that time, I was producing a lot of static reports in Excel. For example, people would ask me, what was the revenue by country that we had last quarter? What was the revenue by customer? What was the revenue by product? And for each of those questions, I had to produce a static Excel report. And then at some point, Excel, innovated and brought to us what we call now pivot tables. That was a huge leap forward. For any financial analyst at the time, you would save a tremendous amount of time by only producing one report, one pivot table that would answer any of those questions. So with one report, you would be able to show the revenue across different segments, and that would save us so much time. So you would think that people would adopt pivot table very quickly because it was really easy to use. In just 3 steps, you can create your pivot table. You don't need to redesign any of the processes. So it was really a great innovation. However, I would say that it probably took 5 or 6 years before we could see most of the people in finance using pivot tables and sending you pivot tables to their internal customers instead of continuing to produce individual static reports. And you can imagine in a company of the size of Oracle, where we have thousands of finance people, how much time was wasted every day simply because of the people factor, because many people didn't have the time to invest in understanding how to build a pivot table. Some of them were not comfortable with it because it was kind of a black box. Some of them didn't think it was their priority. And so during all those years, we had thousands of people continuing to produce individual static reports instead of sending one single pivot table. So that's what we call the adoption deficit. It's a real issue, and if you would have to measure it in terms of return on investment, it is big. It is a lot of money. Thousands of people times a number of hours every day wasted. It's a real return on investment burden. So on the next slide, what we are going to see is how we can solve this type of people issue. And at Oracle, we have created our own digital adoption platform that we call Guided Learning. And this platform lays on top of our SaaS applications or any web application, actually. And it provides just information that the user needs in the flow of work. The way you could think about it is think about a GPS. So I want to go from point A to point B, but I don't want to waste my time figuring out, which one is the best way, and where's the traffic stuck, and is there an alternative to this route? All I want is, as quickly as possible, as I'm driving, I get instruction, and I don't have to think about it. I just follow the guide. And that's what we do with a digital adoption platform. We elevate the user experience. So we make it very easy for them to discover the application, to navigate through the application, and to have the correct behavior in the application. So with that GPS now, what we can do is really solve any adoption challenge that is related to people, whether people are slow in terms of productivity, whether people are making mistakes because they don't understand what is expected of them exactly in each of the field. We save them time because they don't have to search for the information. They don't have to search for training. We put those training through videos directly in the application. And we also can communicate with pop-up messages directly in the application. So that really has revolutionized, as Jason was saying, the way we are training people and the way we are driving adoption. So that's what a digital application does at a high level. And what we're going to see on the next slide is once we ask our customers what are the visible benefits beyond elevating the user experience, what they tell us through a survey that IDC has been managing is that they can see immediately a 63% reduction in the number of support requests that the end users are raising in terms of how-to questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? 63% reduction. That's pretty huge. We also see an acceleration of the time to value. The projects are running 52% faster in terms of change management. And also it simplifies the life of our change management teams by reducing their effort typically by 40%. Overall, what it means to customers is that they see a return on investment on digital adoption platforms after only 3 months. Again, this is not Oracle saying that. This is IDC, who's been running a survey on customers, and this is the customer survey. So we think there are great benefits to a digital adoption platform, and we encourage every of our customer to take advantage of those benefits by implementing digital adoption platforms. On the next slide, what we can see is that our own digital adoption platform, again called Guided Learning, is a very mature product. It's been there for many years, and it's been deployed across 1,200 customers, and over actually we're way over that number now, but at the time that would represent 7 million users. We have put some logos of customers here. They don't fit on the page, as you can imagine. 1,200, we have many. So the product has been tested over many use cases, over many scenarios. And on the next slide, what we can see is that actually people think very often that guided learning only works on Oracle products. That is not the case. We have also tested the application on non-Oracle applications. And so we can confirm that it works as long as you are using a web application on HTML5 or above. So, just wanted to make sure that you are aware of the fact that we can use guided learning for Oracle application, but also on non-Oracle application, because we know many of our customers, they have hybrid cloud solutions or they run processes sometimes across several applications. And with guided learning, we're able to provide a consistent experience across all of those applications for the end users. Okay. And what I wanted to say at last to finish my segment is that today specifically we talk about OGL4JDE Edwards. This initiative started in Asia Pacific, and my colleague Jason Mathias has been working very closely with Steltix. Steltix has got an experience on JDE, and so what we did with them first is make sure that we address the specific needs of JDE Edwards customers. So we work with Steltix very closely to make sure that OGL would fit the specific needs and would work as intended on JDE Edwards. The second thing that Steltix did is that we invested a lot of time and money on developing specific tools and services for OGL4JDE Edwards. And the last thing that Steltix did, which is something very unique as well, is that they have put in place a global go-to-market strategy to make sure that we could cover customers globally across the globe. Because whether you work in Europe, whether you work in North America or in Asia Pacific,